Welcome to the Women of Ihsan podcast. I'm your host, Sofia, and this is an invitation to join me and our amazing guests to find inspiration and insights into your own journey to Ihsan. If you ever feel overwhelmed or confused along the way, I'm also here to support you so you can tackle your challenges with confidence and make progress towards this lofty goal. To find out more about my work, check the episode description and make sure to subscribe.
والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalat wassalam ala rasulillah. Welcome to a new episode of the Women of Ihsan podcast. Today, I'm super happy to have Farah Qureshi with me. Farah is a neuroscientist, a neuromarketing specialist, a coach, and a podcaster. Farah helps high achieving professionals get resilience and breakthroughs by utilizing neuroscience and strategies in her Neuromind Mastery program. It sounds so fascinating, and I'm so happy to have Farah with me today. Farah, welcome again. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Thanks for having me. The honor is all mine.
Thank you so much for making the time in your busy schedule. So I want to start right away and getting to know you better. Can you tell us about yourself, maybe a bit of your background, and do you have a personal story?
Wow, so broad questions. I guess we all have a personal story. So maybe I should just combine it with why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So 1 year ago, I started my company, Neuro Consulting, where I wanted to work with private companies, but also work with individuals, like the high achievers, to help them elevate like their own potential by understanding their own brain, how it works. So I wanted to heal people with the knowledge that I have. And prior to that, starting the company a year ago, I used to teach companies how to scale their businesses by understanding how their customers' brain worked. So I was always like teaching neuroscience or doing neuromarketing content for big companies so they could make more money basically. It was fun for a while. I did it for a long time. I also scanned lots of brains, especially the female brain, and wrote my thesis within that field because I'm always interested in our consumer behavior and our mind. Like it takes us places, right? I'm always interested in why we react the way we do, and when we are um, exposed to different stimuli, we react in different ways. And that was something I was interested in since I was a little girl. Like growing up with my sister, we only two, like in my immediate family, and we always reacted differently, me and her. So I was always paying attention to the human behavior. Like, why are we acting and behaving differently when the message is the same from our mother? And then I was torn between studying psychology and neuroscience, and I chose neuroscience because I do believe that we have the power, like everything lies in our mind, and it controls our behavior and our thinking patterns matters the most. And so neuroscience and psychology are very much intertwined. So I've studied a lot of psychology as well because it's part of neuroscience. And I think psychology students also study a bit of neuroscience because it kind of intertwines, right? So that was the personal story combined with where we are today, where I'm helping high achievers kind of let go of the self sabotage and procrastination and to let go of the anxiety in their lives by understanding their own brain better, basically. And that I utilize neuroscience for that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. And as you were speaking, I forgot to mention that you live in Denmark.
Yes, I'm in
Are you
Copenhagen.
and are you from there? Were you born there?
Yes,
Tell us more
yes,
about
I'm
that.
born in Denmark. Yeah, born in Denmark, but parents are from India and Pakistan.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your English is so I'm not going to say perfect. There's no perfection, but really, really
Thank
good.
you. I appreciate
Mashallah.
it.
So I just wanted to mention that you're not in the UK or Uh,
No, and I'm not from any state, so it's so funny that you mention it because people ask me on Instagram where I usually, I would say that that's the platform I use the most. I use other platforms as well, and they always ask me, "So which state are you from?" And it's like it's no state, and I say Denmark, and some people don't know there's a country, and then they're like, "Which state is that?" It's a bit, it's a bit funny, but thank you. I studied
yeah.
everything in English. I do have a master degree in English itself, the language, and I studied American phonetics. And I do have relatives in the U.S., and most of my family do live in London. So I think English has always been part of my upbringing. Yeah,
Mm-mm. Yeah, I can hear that, mashallah.
yeah.
That's
So
interesting. Okay, so we've got this out of the way now. Not that that people look where is Denmark on their map, because Denmark is a small
that's a
country
small
in Europe.
country next to Germany.
Yes, you're next to me actually.
I always say that to people when I'm abroad. They say, "Where is it located?" I say, "Do you know where Germany is?" Because most people do, and they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "It's next to it. The little dot next to it."
And it's not a state yet. It's not a northern state of Germany.
So
Okay, mashallah. Um, Farah, I always want to hear also, we really want to share here some real talk here, because on social media, where we actually meet a lot of people virtually, we most of the time we see the good stuff. We see where everything goes well, but actually behind the scenes, we all know that it's a different story. So I really want to share, how people overcome these problems and how our faith helps us do so. And in your case, I'm sure if you had to choose one problem or challenge, I'm sure you could find a few. But also, what lessons did you draw from these challenges in your life?
yeah, of course. So I think I share a lot of content that people can relate to because I'm always addressing the challenges and the pain and how you can actually turn those things around, that there are always lessons in life. Because I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't had to go through my trials in life. And we all have that. I used to be the anxious girl. I used to be the overthinker. I used to self sabotage. I used to be always be on the go, 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 and like I couldn't sit alone with my thoughts because they would eat me up. So I used to be that person. I think many of my potential clients or my existing clients, they follow me because they can really mirror themselves in me. So I do talk a lot about those things, and I do post a lot of stories with no makeup, just me running. I don't wear much. I do wear lipstick sometimes, but usually I don't wear much, and I just go out like even when my children are saying, "Mama, you look really tired today," and it's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be filming yourself." Or I still do it because I'm just showing you them. Then we're all filled with lots of different colors, and each day is different. And even when life throws rocks at us, it's about how we handle the situation, how we react to it, what we tell our mind, and then it's a trial, it's a test from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and that we can only become resilient from it. Like instead of having the victim mentality and feel like you're dying, and instead of take that lesson, learn something from it and turn it around for the better. And I do share a lot of those things on my page. I think that's one of the reasons that people come to my page, because they can really relate to the content that I post. It talks to them.
More specifically, how would you say your faith has helped you overcome the challenges in your life, and how did it shape your perspective?
Yeah, I would say faith plays a vital part for me. I mostly coach Muslims, but I also coach non-Muslims. But I always ask them this question, like, are you spiritual? Are you religious? Do you believe in higher power? And I need to work with people who are religious, because if we don't have that faith, we don't have hope. And then it's really hard for us to overcome any challenges. Because as I just mentioned before, everything that is thrown at us is happening for a reason. Allah tests the people He loves the most, and it's one of our tests, right? Like we all have individual tests all the time, so it's really about how we perceive the situation, how we look at it. We can see it as a trial, as a test we can pass, or we fail, right? So I think faith plays a vital role for me in that sense. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't practicing Islam, I would say.
I find it interesting that you say that you mostly work with religious people, um, because you have to believe in this higher power. How did you deal? Like, did you have to deal with someone who doesn't believe in anything? Because um, it's like not having hope.
Yeah,
What did you mean by that?
yeah. I actually haven't. So I only work with religious people. I only
Really?
work with people that, yeah, because I have to connect with people, and like they choose me, I choose my clients as well, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
we, so we have to connect. We have to be on the same page. Otherwise, it's really hard to help someone if we don't have that faith. It's really really hard if you're not on the same page. Then I'm talking in Chinese, right? I mean,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'm not even trying to be honest with you.
no, yeah, yeah. So it's hard, right? So I haven't really tried that. I mean, so I haven't been in that situation.
Mm,
I wouldn't put myself in that situation. Otherwise, I'm not bringing value to that person, I would say.
mm.
So they have
And
to
what?
believe in something higher. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and how did you have to deal with someone who is in doubt? Like, let's stay in within our faith, because most of the audience are Muslims, and I know some people, they also come into situation where they are really feeling depressed or very anxious, and we feel like life, like you were saying earlier, um life is throwing rocks at us, and sometimes it just get too much for someone. Like, it's just like, I can't be that unlucky basically, and it makes their faith shake. um did you have to deal with this kind of attitude, or situation, and what's your best, how's the best way to deal with that, in your opinion?
Yeah, I have. I've had clients that said they always prayed their salah, but because, yeah, this rock was thrown at them, that they were not keeping up with their salah and they had a bad conscience about it. But it's like they had a hard time like connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the trials that were put on them. So that made them go like move away. So I had to like talk to them about that this is exactly what shaitan wants you, you know, and this trial is a test, so we're going to have many tests, and now is the time to actually connect more and go deeper into your salah and reading the Quran, because you will find the answers there. You will find them in your heart, and in the Quran there are like solution for everything. We just have to open our book, and sometimes people go away from it, and when they, so I talked to them about this and told them how that also like helps with the brain, like because prayer is kind of like meditation, and that does activate our reward system in the brain that releases that, like dopamine is one of the chemicals, the neurotransmitter that goes around, and it does give us this happy feeling. We feel more calm, and our nervous system is more relaxed, so it's not like going crazy, and then your emotions can get regulated. And I always say don't go on the opposite direction, because then it's just going to go worse. So I always try to resonate with them with science and rational mind. If when they feel like they're off their track from their spiritual journey, then I try to get them back by having evidence on the brain how it works, and then they try it out, and then they're like, okay, you're right, I'm sticking to it now because you told me about this, because the brain believes evidence is evidence based. So sometimes I have had clients that had a difficulty keeping up with their salah, reading the Quran, and yeah, so it's not like I'm teaching Islam, but it's part of being a Muslim, right? That's part of our pillars. And I think that's part of our healing as well. I think it's a big part of our healing to have that faith and belief and keep like prostrating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the answers are there, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. And I found what you just said is really worth mentioning and repeating, that it's not that we are teaching, like when we are repeating the basics, It's not about teaching or showing, oh my God, look how I know more than you or whatever.
Exactly. No, no, not at
Of course
all. No,
not,
it's a
because
personal journey.
like a 10-year-old going to the madrasa or just, Sunday classes, they know that they can literally, they can
That's
tell
the
you, okay,
basics. Yeah.
yeah, pray on time, keep your Quran and so on.
Yeah.
But subhanallah, we are such creatures that we forget, and we get caught up in everything in life, and we need the reminders.
Yeah.
And I find it really beautiful that you take it on yourself basically to try all of these strategies basically, and go from the scientific
Yeah,
angle, even
because
if
the brain does believe evidence and it's proven.
yes.
It's proven to work, and they all want to be healed and don't want to feel anxious. Then you shouldn't stray away from your salah. You should be doing it more, even. It's the opposite. But they don't feel motivated because they have faced so many challenges that they lost the motivation. And so it's my job to help them get motivated again. You know? Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Yeah, but um yeah, it's really interesting to see how we need to combine all of these elements. Like there's the brain on its own, the heart, the mind, uh,
Exactly.
and we need to find the right recipe for for us. Like some people, they are more drawn towards, everything that is more emotional, the heart, what speaks to them. But the people who are more analytic, they really need structure, and we need evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to talk to everyone at their level, and
Yeah.
not at their level like high or low, but also at their level, the things that speaks to them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
subhanallah.
important to understand that. So yeah, I have been in those situations. Also been in a situation where one of my friends took off her hijab after being divorced, and I was surprised. It came as a surprise, but I said, "That's your journey, and may Allah like give it you that love back in your heart again." What else can I say? It's not my journey. I'm not judging. Like we're all on our individual journeys, and I'm never judging. I'm always observing the reason and the cause and the behavior of why this is happening. So also a challenge, right? Also facing a challenge and then dropping the hijab. I've seen it with many people. So I just asked her. She said, "I'm still praying. I'm still fasting. I'm still like." And I said, "Yeah, that's really good, but it's a big step, taking it off." Even when you're dressed properly. I'm not judging non-Muslims or Muslims wearing the hijab. Sorry, I said it wrong. Muslims not wearing the hijab. I'm not judging. Like you, they're just as good Muslims. I'm not saying that at all. But from someone who was wearing the hijab always to then take it off is a big step, I would say. And so this was one of her challenges, right? And who knows, she might put it back on again. So that's what I'm saying. I see those things all the time, that we stray away from our religion when we are faced with difficulties instead of going deeper actually towards it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. um a lot of times I find, like, again, subhanallah, it's not what happens to you which is really important. What is important is how you react to
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
And it's a test in and of itself. And sometimes even what we would say it's good, can have a really negative impact on ourselves, because then we go further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever happens to us, is just to test us. Are we going closer or further from Him? Because
Yeah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's always like He's always near us. But how are we thinking about Him? Subhanallah. Um, yeah, that's sad. I'm saddened by these stories, but it is what it is, and I think it is a test for the person who's going through
Yes,
it. But
absolutely.
as someone who's witnessing it, it's also a test for me, because now, like you said, am I going to judge them? Then, or am I going to look at myself and remind myself I'm not safe from something even worse happening to me? Subhanallah. And always asking Allah for His protection and to guide us. I mean, we pray 5 times a day minimum, and we ask Allah all the time to keep us on the straight path.
Yes.
So yeah, we need to ask that, and to generally ask that, and not feeling, okay, I'm better than her or I'm better than him, because we're
No,
not.
we're not
We,
comparing. We should only compare with who we were yesterday. Like, never compare ourselves to others. We're all on our own journeys, and that's why I'm not judging. She has her reasons, and yeah, I can only make dua for her. No, I cannot do more. And just like listen to her when she was talking to me about it and sharing her pain, and I can only guide her the best I can, and nothing more, you know.
yeah, being a good friend and
Yes,
listening.
exactly. Being a good friend without judgment.
I mean, it's the best way. Sorry, it's the best way to win her back, quote unquote, to win her
Yes,
back to to
absolutely.
the cause, is being good to her, and make her feel safe and heard and seen, and just making dua, and as she took it off, she can take it back, put
Exactly.
it on again,
We
inshallah.
live in constant change, so anything
Mm.
is possible. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, subhanallah. But thanks for sharing this, because like you said, there are so many of our sisters who are struggling with that, even sisters who are wearing the hijab, but every cell of their being hates it. Subhanallah. So it's really important just to make dua always, and ask Allah to make everything that He loves beloved to us. Allahumma
Yes.
ameen. Um, were there any, a misconception about the faith, or a limiting belief that were holding you back at some point? And if there was something like that, how did you overcome it?
Not with faith, but I did have a limiting belief, like prior starting my company, that I could actually make it.
Hmm.
That because in Denmark, it's a very racist country. It is. It's number three in the world. So let's just state a fact here again for the
What's
rest of the
number
day.
one and number two?
Austria and Switzerland.
Okay, I'm in the middle. So
Yes, I think Germany is also racist, but it was like down below in the on the list because I just looked it up for fun because I was talking to a friend about it, and she said it's in your head about Denmark, and I said it's really not, and then I had to show her facts again, evidence, and then
yeah.
it's not that long ago actually. And what do I want to say with it is that I, as a hijabi in Denmark, has faced all kinds of racism and all kinds of trials in my professional career. Always had to work harder, prove things, and just because I'm brown and yeah, and I'm Muslim, I don't get chosen. And it's been a struggle for me always to tap into my full potential and my competencies. And I feel like yeah, for so long, like I could have done much more, but I was never given the opportunity. And when I was, then women were always like trying to get me down and bullying me, and it was always like a competition at the
You
workplace.
specifically said women.
Women, yeah, women hated me always. Women always at the workplace. I never really connected with women, always the men. They didn't see me as a threat, never. And women were always bullying me or feeling like I was a threat as one of the Muslim women there. Sometimes I was the only one, sometimes there were others as well, but I was always looked upon as a threat. Like, who is she? Who does she think she is? And I just wish that we could all support and empower each other instead of pulling us down.
And were there Muslim and non-Muslim women
Yeah,
alike,
Muslim
or?
and not, it was non-Muslims doing it. I was usually the only Muslim one.
Okay.
So they were always asking questions. I look differently. That's what I'm saying. Denmark is just so behind with everything. They don't know much, even when there are actually many Muslims. But I have always been the only hijabi in the marketing and in the neuroscience like world. I've only been the only hijabi. Like, and I work in IT companies. I've done research. I've been the only hijabi so far. I don't know if there must be more now. It's over a decade ago, but I'm just saying it's a small country, so you don't really see that kind of profile that I have here so often. So it's a niche area, and yeah, I was always the stranger, the alien.
Let's
So
say the trailblazer.
yeah, so I was so that did affect my self-confidence and the limiting belief that I could actually make something out of my vision. But then I decided that I don't want to work with Denmark. I want to work internationally. I want to, like, let's see, I'm open to everything, right? And So now the clients that I have are mostly from US, Canada, Dubai, UK, and I do have some Scandinavians. I do have some Danish and Swedish ones, but not so many. Mostly, actually, mostly people from the UK come to me. Yeah, so it's really nice. Now I found my markets, you know. So it's nice. So I felt like I never really fit in here, and I really never tapped into my potential of how much I could grow myself and how much I could like use my skills to help people, or businesses. I'm trying to work with companies as well, but it's also international companies. So Denmark is very limited in their mindset, I would say, in so many ways.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah for the internet.
Yes. Alhamdulillah. Everything is online.
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of times we hear like internet's a tool. Like you,
It's a
it's
tool.
whatever you do with it. And subhanallah, I am so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have given us this tool and to make this everything possible. Like now the only limits are in our head, basically.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm teaching everyone, right? That you are actually capable of anything if you just put your mind to it. You have to
Mm-hmm,
believe it first and then it happens. So I did have the limiting belief, but then I also worked with my own mindset,
mm-hmm,
that I am capable of anything.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, and so I started it, and it was frightening because I'm a single mother of three, income wise, and I Denmark is also one of the most expensive countries in the world, you guys. High paying taxes, and Copenhagen is very expensive to live in. So a lot of uncertainty and fear was also kicking in, which I had to deal with as well. But I just felt like I never know until I've tried. I have to try. If I fail, I fail. I learn something. So here we are 1 year later. I'm still going. So
mashallah, mashallah. May Allah give you all the
thank you.
success in this life and the next. Allahumma ameen. That's amazing to hear from you, Farah, because it is so much needed, because these limiting beliefs that we had, these stories we tell ourselves, and sometimes, yes, the stories they are also fed by our environment, like in your
Yeah, so much.
situation.
Yeah,
Um, but it doesn't mean that we need to believe in all of them, and we need to explore um, our potential basically. And I love how you doing this and how you are helping your clients doing this as well, mashallah. And yeah, so alhamdulillah for the internet, and alhamdulillah for
yeah.
speaking
Otherwise,
English.
I wouldn't have a business like if we didn't have the internet or my podcast. So
Yeah, oh, you would have to move.
yes,
Oh
yeah.
yes, subhanallah, subhanallah. um I also want um to use this segue to talk about the main topic of the podcast, which is ihsan. And I love asking this question because every time I get a different answer, subhanallah. And so for you, Farah, what does it mean to strive to become a woman of ihsan?
Well, to be the best example every day, like to my kids, to my neighbors. And I do have a specific story to this with the neighbor thing. I will tell you in a bit. To be better every day. And I am the teacher of my children. Like they are in school and stuff. But I am the example, the role model. So if I'm not doing and practicing Islam, how would they know? How would they, like, if it's not in the home, it's really difficult even when they're being taught in school. They have to see it, like it have to be in the home environment. It's, so I always say this is my base foundation for everything. uh, this is just part of me. And so every morning when we wake up, we salute the day, right? And before sleeping we say specific du'as before we go to bed, and read the Ayatul Kursi and stuff like that. That's some of the examples. And then we always start the day with prayer and we end the day with prayer. It's the same thing. So the routines are in place. And my 5 year old knows all the prayers because he prays with me since he was a baby. So it's rooted in his skin, if it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And he has his small, prayer cap he puts on. It's so cute. He runs and gets it. When I'm putting on my salah clothes, and he knows this is the signal I'm praying with mama. And he cannot always focus because he just turned 5, but it just puts a smile on my face. you know.
Alhamdulillah,
And
yeah.
I always make dua for my kids to be righteous and always making the right decisions. Because when we have it in our household, and I explain things to my daughters why, and now they are preteens, and now is the time to wear burkinis. And they say, oh, well, I'm still not a teenager. I'm still not, stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, we start now because when you are one, it's just easier the transition. Then you dress just like mama and stuff like that is just one example. So we have to live and breathe it for our children to feel aligned with it. And the example with the neighbor, I wanted to highlight that I actually live in a mixed I live in a rental place and it's a mixed people here. But
Mm-hmm.
my neighbor, she's from Slovakia and she's very much Christian, like courses everywhere. And when I was moving in, she was being hostile to begin with. Old lady. But then again, it's about your manners, like how you are. So the day we moved in, I baked some muffins with the kids and I went around to introduce us because I think it's important to have good neighbors and something happens to look after each other. I've always been doing those things. And that is very uncommon in Denmark. Like people are very introverted. They don't say much to each other. But so I did the same thing. So I started with my neighbor and she was like, huh, you baked these. Why? And I said, because we just moved in. And she said, it smells really good. And I said, good. Do you want to have one? And she said, okay, why not? And that's just how it started. And from that day on, now we're like best friends. She's old. She's like 84. And I help her with groceries when I'm cooking and I have extra. If it's not too spicy, then I give it to her. She's alone and sick. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, you're the only neighbor that I've had, like, who's done this with me. Like,
Subhanallah.
and now she's a big fan of Islam and she's like, tell me stories. And when I tell her stories, she's like, oh, many commonalities like with the Christianity. And she's like, that's beautiful. And I will always pray for you because she does pray a lot as a
Mm.
Christian. And now she's like open and she knows a lot about Islam. So it's about having that curiosity and just meeting people, like with that open heart, even when they are behaving not so kind towards you to begin with. Because she just saw me as another threat, like, oh, another Muslim, or I don't know, but she has experience. I have no idea. The media, and now she says, I'm not watching the news anymore. The media is so bad, and you're so kind. I told my whole family. you know? So I think,
MashaAllah.
yeah, your behavior says it all, like who you are as a Muslim. So it's not just about dressing appropriately or doing your salah, but how you're treating other people.
Yeah, yeah. We hear a lot, this expression that we are ambassador of Islam, whether we like it or
We have
not.
to spread it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to spread it. And my non-Muslim in my group coaching, he's actually reading the Quran as we speak because he got curious. And I think like our behavior is doing much more than we think. The words we are saying, everything, is actually influencing people out there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we
Yeah.
have the power to change that. If we
Yeah,
want to influence
definitely.
people, we can
Definitely. And
do it.
if we change only one person, like if only one person, their heart is open to Islam, subhanAllah, it's absolutely priceless. It's
My friend
priceless.
also converted to Islam after getting to know me. So it's really about how we tell the stories of the Sunnah and like of our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam,
Sallallahu
how
Alaihi Wasallam.
we deliver the messages in an inspiring way that really talks to people. Because the media, we do know that they're trying the opposite and is going very well with that. So it's about who we are as people, and yeah, we actually have the power to help people with that.
Yeah, yeah. It's about living Islam,
Yeah.
living, and not just words, but also, like you said, with the children. It's about being a role model in our
Yes.
household, but also outside for other people, because you never know, at the grocery store, who's observing you, because especially in these countries where they already have this negative idea.
Also negative. Yeah.
So whenever, even like Muslim women, like wearing hijab, they already have this very, like, at best they think you're oppressed, like, oh, poor thing, and you know.
Oh my God. Yes.
So,
So
oh, do you
sad.
speak, yeah, like, do you speak the language wherever you live? Like, do you understand me? Yeah. you
Oh
know
my God.
so
It's like going back in time. I just can't deal with those small brains. I just can't. I lose brain cell every time. It's like that's how it feels to me. It's like stop. And they all thought, so listen about the stereotypes, like you're just saying, oh, you speak the language. So when they say that to me, oh, your Danish is so good, if an old lady says that to me, or I don't know, someone, and I always say back, so is yours. And then they're like so surprised. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Danish like you. I'm Danish born. And then they're like, oh, okay. They don't know what to say. They're like shocked. I always say, thank you. So is your Danish.
Oh my. Yeah, it's good to be able to answer. Yeah.
I get back every time. I just can't help it. And when I moved in this rental place, they all asked me if I were a social worker because I had the profile. Because many Muslim women are dressed like me, I would say. So who are social workers, which is an incredible job.
Yeah.
But they all thought I was my neighbor's new social worker
Okay.
because her social workers do look like me. It is true. And I said, well, no, I'm not, but that's very like stereotype. And then they were like embarrassed, and I said, like, we can be other things than social workers, you know. And so I had to do like a speech, but then they stopped and they were like, oh, okay, okay, now everybody knows what I do. But it's like, yeah, educating them and teaching them. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm doing that all the time with people, you know,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
because they
That's
do judge you even when they don't want to. It just comes out
yeah.
because,
But
yeah.
to be like to be fair, subhanallah, we need to like we need to educate the non-Muslims, and especially like when you live in a country where Islam and Muslims are very foreign. You know, it's very like we feel like it's they're so different than us, but at the same time, unfortunately, um, it's also like the blame is also on us, because like the previous generation, they didn't always do a good job at introducing ourselves, and it's not like it didn't come from nowhere, you know, these stereotypes, and um not that it's right, but unfortunately, and like I'm sure even in your case you must have witnessed Muslims not behaving the best, and
Oh, yeah.
it's even more hurtful for us because we feel so ashamed that, oh, yeah, now I have to work even more to try to make them forget what just happened, you know.
Yeah, that's how it used to feel like to me when I was in a company, but now I work for myself, so it's better. I'm in a better condition, I would say. But yeah, that's how it used to feel. I had to like defend, like, and I was like, why should I do that? Like, it's just like another human being just because they're Muslim. Then everybody's asking me questions. I didn't do it. And that is exactly what happened when I used to work for other companies.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Then I
yeah,
had to defend or myself, and I had to speak up, and it was like so much pressure all the
yeah,
time. I remember it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really difficult, but also like the Muslim women here, like they also judge you. Like many like don't know what you do, and I don't even bother to explain because I'm like they cannot take it in. They see me again as a threat, or if you're not having tea with them outside. So I'm kind of like an outsider. I don't mingle so much with them here in the area. I have my friends and that's it. I keep it to myself, but they just all want to gossip and talk, and that's not really me. And that's not my thing. And they're very loud outside. And I think that's embarrassing. And that's just not me. And they're always calling my name, and I'm always just minding my own business. So
yeah.
so I also feel conflicted with the Muslims, I would say.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
mixture for
Yeah, that's
me.
what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. We are not like we need to do like educate the non-Muslims, but also the Muslims.
Also the Muslims, yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
I get comments like from Muslim, like non-Muslims will never say those comments. Like from Muslims where I live, like so when are you planning on getting married? You're not gonna stay young forever because I've been divorced for 5 years. And it's like, what? Like, how am I your problem? Like, I don't understand it. So it's like weird comments like that are thrown at you, and I'm shocked every time when and it's like, what is it to you? Like, I'm minding my own business, mind your own business. So I just tend to like go away from them because it's not my cup of tea. you know so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
surprised about comments like that and all the gossiping behind your back, and I don't like it. Like, if you have something, say it to my face. So actually prefer non-Muslims saying things to your face than them talking behind your back, to be honest.
Yeah, we unfortunately we like something like gossiping, backbiting is a major sin.
I know, but
It's
it's
a
like also,
major sin. So
I would say it's
when
not an
non-Muslims
Islamic
do
thing.
it, you know,
Yeah,
like they don't know, like it's just
yeah, it's a
normal.
cultural thing. I would say it's not an
Yeah,
Islamic thing because it's forbidden, but it's a
yeah,
cultural thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So it's yeah, it's not the best, and that's why it's it's important again to learn our deen. Because if you are proud to be Muslim, then well, you should act like one. Um,
And mind your own business.
and mind your own business. Yeah, yeah. Subhanallah,
You can be
subhanallah.
curious, but then you ask the question differently.
Mm-mm.
Like, have you considered getting married? You say that instead of saying commenting on
But
my
even
looks.
like, but even then, what is it to like? What is it to someone else? I mean,
I have no idea, but I did shut her mouth that day, and she's never asked me that question again. She's
like,
afraid, I think, to
uh,
ask me questions again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they're definitely talking in your back, but at least you know.
Yeah, so when they call me like, "Hey, have a like sit with us," I'm like, "I'd rather not." Yeah, so it's like it's fine. Like, I
Very
don't need to be
direct and
around.
clear, you know.
Yeah, I am very direct and clear. I don't have time for this. I have to be surrounded by positive energy. I am already doing a lot as a single mother of three, different age groups, and having my own business. And I have a lot of pressure on a daily basis already. So there's a lot to do, and I have to take care of my mental health. How am I or else like helping my clients is if I'm not doing all the things myself too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have to be in a good space and good energy in order to help people.
You're
So I'm
taking
just
your own
taking care of
medicine.
my mind. Yeah.
Mashallah, mashallah. Yeah, that's again, like I said in the beginning, we're talking some real talk. Because the sugar coated and everything. I think like we've heard it, we know it, but we want to hear real stories. And like your story, Farah, I feel like every now and then we need to hear stories like that. And yeah, and again, not judging anybody, but
Exactly. For staying away from toxic people is a good thing.
definitely for your mental health. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
especially because a lot of times one of the problems is these toxic people, they are your own family.
Oh yeah.
And then you're a bit stuck because you can't just like you can't cut ties with your
No, we
parents
can
or siblings
minimize
and
the
so on.
contact.
You need like you really need to find a solution for this. But in your like in this case, when it's some random people,
Yeah,
you
that
can
doesn't
just
matter. But I also set boundaries with my own family. Like, I need to be around more positive energy, and like not all of them have been supportive of me going and starting my own thing, because I think your parents are always operating like from protection and
yeah.
fear. And my mother doesn't get it because she's always been in the same job forever, and I'm the opposite. I never had a same job for more than 2 years. I always tried something else. I was bored, I needed challenges, or I didn't like the workplace, I wasn't treated well. It was always something like that. And so
Mm,
she never understood those things, and she doesn't understand what I'm doing. And so it's like it doesn't matter because I'm paying my bills at the end of the day. So not always your family would understand you, and that's okay. You know, take it
mm,
as it is, as long as you know what you're doing. So I think that's also a good way of handling situations when comments are thrown at you. Just remind yourself that at the end of the day, you are doing it what resonates with you, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's also important. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for the reminder.
Yeah.
What else would you like to give us as, a message or, you know, a piece of advice even, um, that we could take away with us after listening to you, Farah?
Yeah, I feel like especially Muslims, like they feel so much obligation towards their family, and like because we are brought up in the culture that we have to take care of our elderly, we have some responsibilities, which is not a bad thing. But I think everything has to be balanced. Like, we have to set the boundaries for ourselves to protect our mental peace. And after setting up some rules with my family, I think it's going better for me because I cannot have emergency calls all the time. Like unless it's emergency calls, I mean, when it's really urgent, of course I'll picking it up, but I cannot have like small problems. For them is big problem, but for me small problems. So you have to set some boundaries, and so family tend to misuse that power, you know, whereas there's a difference with friends, and I think it's important to set those boundaries with your family as well. So I'm actually teaching my clients that in their family dynamics and stuff, in their relationships, because we have to protect our own mental peace.
Indeed. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to be able to
And I
function
feel like many
properly.
Muslims feel shame and guilt in this matter, and it's really difficult for them because we're Muslims and we feel like we have to do everything for our families. And that's not exactly how it is. You can still help them, but still like put in some boundaries to protect your own well-being.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. There's always boundaries to be set because
There is, and many don't do that with families because they feel like
yeah,
they feel shame or they feel guilt, towards their parents because yeah, parents, are they raised us and that's why we're here, and all those things, but everything can be like with respective manner be balanced.
yeah, because you serve your parents. That's
Yeah,
true. You love them, but first, like before that, you need to help yourself. Because if
exactly.
you're not helping yourself, well, nobody, absolutely nobody will do that. So first you take care of your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You take care of yourself, your own well-being. As
Yes.
we say commonly, you can't pour from an empty cup. And you are a single mother to three young children. So who's going to take care of them if you
If
just
I'm not in a good space, exactly.
exactly,
And I
exactly.
don't sorry, I don't live near close to my family. They're like several hours away, so I don't see
Mm,
them much. I am completely alone here in Copenhagen, and that's why it really matters to me like who I'm engaging with.
mm,
So I'm really like keeping to myself, and having my close friends is like my family here, and
mm.
yeah, that's enough for me, because
You're
I'm doing it.
protecting your time. You're
Yes,
protecting your
I am
time.
very much indeed.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so important. Protecting, being protective of our time, of our mental health, emotional health as well. I mean, it is so important and something I feel we are starting to learn again, like unlearning the bad cultural habits to learn how to how to be good to ourselves. And then like I have no doubt that this is making us also better children, because when you do, like, to our parents or anybody else
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that
yeah.
matter, because when you do, like, you say yes but actually you feel like, oh my god, I don't want to do this, after that you feel so resentful, and then you're not like
Exactly. It's
you're
so
not
true.
really there. And
Yeah. And then
and then
feeling energy
frictions and then
off.
conflicts happen just because of that.
Yeah, so true. Spot
Yeah.
on example. Yeah.
Yeah. So, mashallah, thanks again for this amazing advice and really, real life examples and experience. The part with your neighbors, absolutely beautiful, mashallah. And I hope, it serves for us again as a reminder we need to be good to our neighbors. Um, Elderly people, ask them, do you need anything? And again, not falling into the trap of now, you know, saying yes all the time, but just like that they feel that okay, they can trust you in a like case of emergency, that you are there for them. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, absolutely amazing, Farah. Before I let you go, um, is there someone you would like to see on the podcast as a guest, and what would you like to ask her?
I actually really like Jihad. I don't know if she's been on your podcast.
Yes, she's been on the podcast.
Okay, yeah, because I really like the Sahabi method that she's doing
Mm-hmm.
coaching. It's so different that I ever stumbled upon, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
I had to have her on my podcast, which is a mental health podcast from neuroscience perspective. And I needed to have her on because I thought it was so interesting to inspire in that way, like using our religion to actually coach in that manner, and to have like, so she maps out which yeah, prophetic yeah, model we are. And I thought it was so interesting, so different that I ever stumbled upon. And
Mashallah, yeah.
I think she's doing an amazing job. So yeah.
Yeah, mashallah. If you can't think of anyone else, I would like to use the opportunity again to talk about your own podcast. So you said it's about mental health.
Yes, from a neuroscience perspective. So we always talk about like what happens in the brain, but it's a mental health podcast, and I've had many different people on, like yeah, psychotherapists, doctors, psychologists, neuroscientists, jihad. Yeah,
Mashallah.
who does the Sahabi method? Yeah, because I like to interview different people with different stories, because they're inspiring, basically.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, yeah. So everybody with a good story is welcome, because as long as it inspires someone who's
Mhm.
maybe in the same situation or similar, might get that help, right?
Mashallah. I will put the link to your podcast as well in
Thank
this
you.
episode description,
Appreciate
inshallah.
it.
Yeah, of course, of course. Um, so anywhere else, where can people find out how to work with you and follow you or on social media?
Yeah, so I'm very much active on Instagram. And yeah, you will also drop the link to there, or
Yeah, definitely.
okay, perfect. And LinkedIn as well.
Hmm.
And I do have a Facebook group as well, which is a private group where I
Okay.
do share some brain hacks and stuff. So yeah, I would. It's free, and people should join in. And when I reach a certain amount of number, I will do a live session in there actually. Because
Okay,
I cannot
great.
do that on Instagram. I couldn't create the broadcast channel, so I
Mm-hmm.
created a Facebook group instead. Yeah.
Okay, mashallah. Okay, yeah,
Also
you'll
have a
get
YouTube channel with all the
also YouTube. Okay, I'll
yeah.
put
So every channel
like
basically, not TikTok. I'm not so active, so
mhm.
yeah.
Okay, I'll put everything in the description for anyone to go and follow you and get in touch if needed,
Thank
inshallah.
you. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course. This is why we are doing what we're doing. We want to help each other
Absolutely.
and just put in the um, not the background, the foreground. How do you say that?
No idea. Forefront?
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly, the forefront. We want
Yeah.
to put in the forefront um, amazing sisters like yourself, professionals who work with, our ethics and integrity with beautiful missions. We want to talk about it. Like, we want to shed light on more of this because we've heard enough of the negative.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. I agree. We should all support and empower each other instead of tearing each other down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's about time.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. So thank you so much again, Farah. I'm not going to hold you any longer. Thank you so much again. We made it today, and I can't wait to share the episode with the audience. And I hope, as you are listening to this, you also enjoyed this. Please show it to us. Tag us on Instagram, leave a comment, like, and share with your friends and family, anyone who could benefit, and give more visibility to the podcast because this cannot happen if you don't show your support. So thanks to everyone. Thank you again, Farah, and Assalamu alaikum wa
Thank you for
rahmatullahi wa
having me.
barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam.